Superman the Man of Steel. Flawed movie, but still entertaining, and by default the movie the summer of 2013. It has made a large amount of money in the overseas market by being Christian and pro-American, something that's very uncommon because these days in American movies, all the terrorists and villains and bad guys come from within. Warner Brothers going so left its right approach to making the Man of Steel has paid in dividends when it comes to making money. But this movie may be a sign that it's time for a different take on our lovable heroes. In this time, post 9/11, post-link information, social media, secular society, there needs to be a redesign of a number of things in our lives. I'm going to pick the easiest one, and that's the reimagination of comic book characters to reflect the changes that we have witnessed. The golden age of comics was populated by normal people taking justice into their own hands until Superman came in. The Silver Age was mostly science fictional characters like the Incredible Hulk, the Flash, Spider-Man, what have you. The Bronze Age was more about social problems like domestic violence, drug abuse, racism, and the decline of romance and war comic books on the market, with many minority characters being created during this time period. Today, well, I should say yesterday, if things go right for me, comics are, for better or worse, all about shades of gray and anti-heroes. Before I get into the characters I want to have reimagined, I have to give an overview of the tone and base of the new DC universe as I see it. Unlike event comics that usually involve characters dying or dead characters coming back to life, this universe is going to be organic and reactionary. Spirituality and religion will be predominant in this universe. I can't explain God himself in these terms nor in this video. The metaphysical being is directly influenced by all the new knowledge that humans, superhumans, and gods have in their collective subconscious, meaning that it can change what we consider morally right and morally wrong. This is what we'll call the universal soul. I'm not here to diss, these event comics because I understand cross-marketing promotion of the movies, merchandise, cartoons, and overall branding. I'm just saying that for longtime readers, the impact life of these event comics are rather short. Now, it saddens me that most comic book characters that you know, your dad knows, and maybe your great-granddad knew. There's something both charming and depressing about that. Now, I'm also not here to create any new comic book characters, but I think the shift in tone of how the DC universe is handled will allow itself to create new, memorable, iconic characters, for this day and age. This is the redesign of the DCU. In the tradition of the Flash being the start or the end of an era in DC Comics, he should be the first one to get the redesign. Character, the Flash. This Flash is part Jay Garrick, part Professor Zoom. The original Flash was based on Pegasus, the messenger of the gods, and the later incarnation of Professor Zoom was a man that was trying to give his nemesis, Wally West, a sense of purpose. This new Flash will be a messenger of the gods and give others warnings about whether or not their actions are going against the will of the universal soul and help common people find a sense of purpose. Powers, the Flash. The Flash will have time travel abilities, super speed of course, be able to talk to others for a brief period of time, either the past or the future, at the end of their predicted death. Now here's a killer part. They'll also be able to show people who are going to die how things are going to turn out for their lives and their loved ones, that being consistent with the current way of the universal soul, and relive some pleasant memories of their past, perhaps how seeing things from a different perspective for those who they didn't like during their lifetime. Conflict, the Flash. The Flash, just being a messenger, he can't help those who can't help themselves, and he is unknowing of the purpose of the gods. Apparently, some actions are set in stone as to what will happen. The time frame, conditions, and whether or not it's considered good or bad is not determined. This is how deaths can be prevented without the grand change of the future. No one person's actions can change the fate of the universal soul's will. People can only accelerate or delay certain outcomes. Character, the Spectre. The Spectre is the god of vengeance. Those who have or in some way negatively affected the course of the universal soul are to be punished in an ironic manner that he deems appropriate. Powers. The Spectre. The Spectre's power are metaphysical arts and torture and punishment. He can only punish those who are directly interfering with the current direction of the universal soul, meaning that actions that were deemed punishable by death at one time can go unpunished at another time. Those actions could even be rewarded by another god in another direction in some cases. Conflict. The Spectre. The Spectre is forever a tortured soul from torturing others. Akin to a prison guard, is unaware if he himself is the prisoner. He and the Flash have an uneasy relationship with one another. Spectre is also upset at the apparent unfairness of the universal soul by his constant shifting. He asked the Flash to put, in other cases, quote-unquote good people in different times, bodies, and even rare cases, planets, to give them salvation. That action comes in direct conflict with the gates of heaven. Character. Unknown to Superman himself, he is a god. Previous versions of this character explains that he's meant to be here, and in a lot of ways, his powers are mental, in the sense that he always has enough power to outdo the forces of quote-unquote evil. Think about it. In the movie Superman Returns, he got stabbed by one little small piece of kryptonite. Then later on in the movie, he lifts a whole continent of kryptonite up in space, and his body doesn't give out until the trouble is over with. The duality between Kal-El and Clark Kent is so vast in this redesign that his conscious and subconscious in many ways are unaware of each other's actions. This way, the explanation that Clark Kent can be bumbling and Superman can be confident is far deeper than the risk of having his identity exposed. Powers. Superman. All the powers of Superman stay the same for the most part, just tweaks here and there with the exception of one new power, and that Kal is aware of all life and death around him. He will be the beacon for the change of the universal show and its shifts in motion. He's that in tune with life vibrations. Conflict. Superman. Superman actually won't change that much at his core, even with all the vast implications of what I've given to him and him being part of like the universal soul, being like spirit Jesus. Knowing that Superman played football is not important to neither him as a character nor us the reader. Some stories should be about Clark trying to understand his godliness, not his role in life. He knows that, and not in a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of duality way, but understanding his godliness and figuring out a way that it can help other people achieve a higher level of existence for themselves. Character. Shazam. In terms of physical powers, Shazam is equal to Superman. There are 6 gods influencing inside of him. However, they're angry that the wizard has made a deal with them, which forces sometimes conflicting gods to work together in helping a young boy that is deemed meaningless in the course of the universal soul. Powers. Shazam. All the current powers that Shazam has will stay intact. The only difference is that he gets to have a maximum of 1 power, something would have to be sacrificed in its place. This causes a debate with the human Billy Batson and the other 6 gods that are inside of him that get annoyed with dealing with a child. Some of the gods are indifferent towards Billy. Conflict. Shazam. The main difference between Billy Batson and Kal-El is that Kal-El is meant to be something. Every fiber of his being has a purpose, but Billy is just a human that was thrust in the position that he's in by happenstance. Some gods are indifferent about Billy. As long as he lives, that's all that really matters to the gods that grant him the power. The character Black Adam will be an analogy of the papacy, where the state corrupted the church, meaning man corrupted God. Black Adam, or 10th Adam, was able to persuade the gods on his side through double-crossing and manipulation, where he can access full physical power of the interference of the wizard or the judgment of the Spectre. Teth overheard about the universal soul-shifting directions and used precision timing to gain power during the shifting views of moral judgment. 10th Adam is infused with 100% of lower gods' power, while Billy Batson bargains with 6 higher gods for strength and perception. And in conclusion, so that's my current redesign of the DC Universe. There's a couple of other characters I have in my mind. However, I don't think every single character needs to be redone from the ground up. I think a lot of characters are good as they are and they can transition through many different eras. That's why Wonder Woman's been around for 70 years along with Batman and Superman. So please share, subscribe, comment, and let me know if there's any other characters, teams, or universes you'd like me to do a reimagination of. Take care.